While everyone's been watching 3I/ATLAS, something else just appeared on tracking screens. And this new object is moving faster, coming closer, and arriving sooner than Atlas ever could. Deep space surveillance networks detected the object 72 hours ago, emerging from the outer solar system at velocities that should be impossible. It's designated Object 4EI, the fourth confirmed interstellar visitor to enter our solar system. But unlike previous interstellar objects that took months to cross the solar system, this one will reach Earth's orbital distance in less than 7 days. The speed is absolutely staggering. Object 4I is traveling at approximately 220,000 miles per hour, nearly twice the velocity of Atlas and faster than any natural object we've ever detected. At that speed, it's covering the distance from Saturn to Earth in just over a week. And it's not slowing down. But here's what has astronomers working around the clock. While the world's attention has been focused on ATLAS and its mysterious behavior, this new arrival somehow avoided detection until it was already deep into the solar system. Either our surveillance networks missed a massive object traveling at extreme velocity, or Object 4I has capabilities that allowed it to approach undetected until now. Before we reveal what we know about this new threat and why its arrival next week might be connected to ATLAS, smash that subscribe button and drop a like, because Earth just became the destination for at least 2 interstellar visitors, and the newest one is the fastest and closest. The question everyone's asking is this a coincidence, or are Atlas and Object 4I coordinated? And what happens when both objects are in Earth's vicinity at the same time? The detection of Object 4. reads like a thriller because of how suddenly it appeared and how close it already was when we finally saw it. A deep space tracking station in Chile detected an anomalous radar return during routine scanning of the outer solar system. At first, operators thought it was instrument error. The object's velocity signature was so high it exceeded normal detection parameters. But when multiple stations confirmed the same reading, the reality became undeniable. Something massive was racing through our solar system at unprecedented speed. A radar tracking specialist described the moment. When we calculated the velocity, we ran the numbers 3 times because we didn't believe the result. Natural objects don't move this fast within solar systems. Even Atlas, which shocked us with its speed, was moving at roughly 130,000 miles per hour. This new object is doing 220,000. That's 70% faster, an enormous difference in kinetic energy and arrival timeline. The object's trajectory is also deeply concerning. It's not following a typical hyperbolic path that would take it past Earth and back out into interstellar space. The current course shows Object 4I will pass within 800,000 miles of Earth, roughly 3 times the distance to the Moon. That's uncomfortably close for an object this large moving this fast. Size estimates based on radar returns suggest Object 4I is approximately 600 meters across, smaller than Atlas but still massive by any measure. A 600-meter object traveling at 220,000 miles per hour carries kinetic energy equivalent to thousands of nuclear weapons. If something went wrong, if it hit Earth or even passed through our atmosphere, the consequences would be catastrophic. But what's really alarming is the trajectory's precision. Object 4I isn't just passing near Earth, it's passing through a very specific region of space that will place it in direct line of sight to ATLAS's current position. The alignment seems too precise to be coincidental. An orbital analyst explained the significance. The probability of 2 interstellar objects randomly arriving in our solar system in the same time frame is already astronomically small. The probability that their trajectories would align so precisely that they'd have direct line of sight to each other while both near Earth is essentially 0. This looks like intentional coordination. The detection also raises troubling questions about how long Object 4I has actually been in the solar system. Based on its current velocity and trajectory, backtracking its path suggests it could have entered our solar system months ago. If true, that means it was here, moving through space near the outer planets, and we never saw it. The fact that Object 4 I got this close before detection is forcing space agencies to confront uncomfortable truths about gaps in our surveillance capabilities. And the theories about how it stayed hidden are deeply unsettling. Our deep space tracking networks are designed to detect objects in certain velocity ranges and following predictable orbital patterns. Object 4 is moving so fast it initially appeared as noise or sensor errors rather than a real contact. It's like a car moving so fast that speed cameras can't get a clear reading, except this is happening in space where nothing should move this fast naturally. A space surveillance engineer explained the detection problem. Our systems assume objects follow certain patterns and velocity profiles. When something falls outside those parameters, the software flags it as probably an error. Object 4's speed signature was so extreme that multiple systems dismissed it as false returns. We lost valuable tracking time because our own safeguards rejected the reality of what we were seeing. But there's a more concerning possibility. Object 4 might have stealth characteristics that helped it avoid detection. Some observations suggest its surface has extremely low radar reflectivity, much lower than natural space objects. It's almost as if Object 4 is designed to minimize its detectability. Infrared telescopes that should have detected Object 4's thermal signature from much farther away apparently didn't see it either. Either the object maintains extremely low temperature, unlikely given its speed through space, or it has thermal management systems that mask its infrared signature. A sensor technology specialist described the stealth characteristics. Conventional space objects reflect radar and emit thermal radiation that our surveillance networks can detect from vast distances. Object 4 seems to have very low signatures in both radar and infrared, characteristics we'd associate with deliberate stealth design rather than natural objects. It's like it was built to be hard to see. The possibility of intentional stealth raises profound questions. If Object 4 was designed to avoid early detection, that implies intelligence behind its mission. Natural objects don't have stealth capabilities. Spacecraft designed for covert operations do. There's also the timing consideration. Object 4 managed to get deep into the solar system while all our tracking assets were focused on Atlas. Whether by coincidence or design, it used Atlas as a distraction. Everyone watching the obvious object while the harder to detect one slipped closer unnoticed. A military intelligence analyst made the comparison. This is classic misdirection. Focus attention on one threat while another approaches from a different vector. Whether Atlas and Object 4 are coordinating deliberately or whether it's opportunistic timing, the effect is the same. We're now dealing with two objects instead of one, and we have less preparation time for the newer threat. Despite the delayed detection, astronomers have gathered crucial data about Object 4 over the past 72 hours. And every observation makes this object more mysterious and potentially more dangerous. Spectroscopic analysis shows Object 4 has a completely different composition than Atlas. While Atlas showed that unusual metallic signature, especially the pure nickel emissions that don't occur naturally, Object 4 appears to be composed primarily of extremely dark material that absorbs most wavelengths of light. A planetary geologist analyzing the spectrum described it as unprecedented. The reflectivity is extraordinarily low. Less than 2% of incoming light gets reflected. This object is darker than coal, darker than charcoal, almost as dark as the darkest materials we've ever created in laboratories. Natural space objects don't look like this. The surface characteristics suggest advanced materials engineering. The darkness isn't just one side or surface features, it's uniform across the entire visible surface. That kind of uniformity typically indicates artificial manufacturing rather than natural formation. Object 4 also shows no visible outgassing, no coma formation, no typical comet activity, despite moving at tremendous speed through space where friction with interstellar medium should create visible effects. It's acting like a solid object with no volatile materials, more like an asteroid or spacecraft than a comet. But the most intriguing observations come from electromagnetic monitoring. Unlike Atlas, which broadcasts complex signals continuously, Object 4 Eye is almost electromagnetically silent. It emits virtually no radio signals, no structured transmissions, nothing that would indicate active communication systems. A radio astronomer described the silence as notable. Atlas has been chatty since we first detected it, constantly broadcasting, transmitting, communicating. Object 4, Eye, is the opposite. It's electromagnetically quiet, except for very occasional, very brief signal bursts that might be navigation beacons or position updates. It's like comparing someone shouting constantly to someone whispering occasionally. The occasional signals that are detected from Object 4 use frequency patterns and modulation schemes completely different from Atlas's broadcasts. Either they're from different technological origins, or they're using different communication protocols for different purposes. Shape analysis from radar returns suggests Object 4, Eye, is more elongated than Atlas, possibly cylindrical or cigar-shaped rather than roughly spherical. That shape is aerodynamically inefficient for atmosphere entry, but optimal for high-speed travel through space with minimal drag. The rotation rate is also unusual. Object 4, Eye, appears to be spinning very slowly, much slower than natural tumbling would produce. Slow, controlled rotation suggests either it's designed to maintain specific orientation or something is actively stabilizing its spin. When you examine the timeline of events, it becomes increasingly difficult to believe that Object 4's arrival is unrelated to ATLAS's presence in our solar system. Atlas entered the inner solar system and began exhibiting clearly artificial behaviors, maneuvering, broadcasting, deploying objects. Space agencies worldwide mobilized to track and study it. Then, just as Atlas approaches its closest interaction with Earth, Object 4. Eye appears from the outer solar system, moving at extreme velocity on a course that brings it to Earth simultaneously. A statistical analyst calculated the probabilities. The odds of two interstellar objects arriving in our solar system in the same decade are already incredibly small, perhaps one in several billion. The odds of them arriving within weeks of each other with trajectories that bring them both near Earth at the same time. The numbers are so small, they're essentially impossible if we assume random chance. The trajectories also show suspicious alignment. Object 4. Eye's path will bring it into the same general region of space as ATLAS during its Earth approach. They won't collide, their paths are offset, but they'll have direct line of sight to each other for several days while both are near Earth. An aerospace analyst described the geometry. From Object 4, Eye's position, Atlas will be clearly visible during the approach. From Atlas's position, Object 4, Eye will be visible. They'll be able to observe each other and potentially communicate directly without Earth in the way. That positioning seems deliberately planned. The timing also suggests Object 4, Eye, might have been summoned. If Atlas sent signals back toward its origin point when it first entered the solar system, those signals could have reached destinations up to several light-years away in the months since. Object 4, Eye, could be a response. A second craft dispatched after Atlas reported finding something interesting here. But there's an even more concerning possibility. Object 4. Eye might have been here first. If it entered the solar system months ago using stealth characteristics to avoid detection, it could have been observing from the outer solar system while Atlas conducted its more visible approach and reconnaissance. Now, with Atlas's mission nearing completion, Object 4, Eye, is revealing itself and approaching rapidly. A strategic intelligence specialist explained this scenario. Standard military doctrine for reconnaissance includes visible elements that draw attention and covert elements that observe undetected. Atlas might be the visible probe, while Object 4, Eye, was the stealth observer gathering intelligence we didn't know we were being surveilled. Now, both are converging on Earth, the obvious probe and the hidden one. In less than a week, Earth will host two confirmed interstellar objects simultaneously. The implications range from scientifically fascinating to strategically terrifying. If both objects are peaceful scientific probes from the same origin, their coordination makes sense. Atlas conducted long-duration observation over months, while Object 4, Eye, performed high-speed reconnaissance. Together, they'd provide comprehensive data about our solar system and Earth. Slow, detailed study combined with rapid, broad survey. A mission planning specialist described how we'd do it. If we were exploring another star system, we might send different probes with different capabilities. One for extended observation, one for rapid fly-through to cover ground quickly. Atlas and Objective 4. I fit that pattern, complementary missions providing different types of data. But the capabilities suggest something more complex. Atlas has demonstrated impossible technology, propulsion, energy harvesting, communications beyond our capability. Object 4 shows apparent stealth characteristics and extreme velocity. Those aren't just different scientific capabilities, they're different tactical capabilities. Defense analysts are gaming out scenarios where both objects represent coordinated reconnaissance before something. Atlas gathers detailed intelligence about Earth, deploys monitoring assets, establishes presence. Object 4 conducts high-speed mapping, approaches from a different vector, provides tactical flexibility. A defense strategist described the concern, if these were military assets from an Earth nation, we'd recognize the pattern immediately. Slow-moving platform with comprehensive sensors and deployment capability, combined with high-speed vehicle providing rapid response and additional observation angles. That's not just exploration, that's establishing operational presence. The convergence also creates a force multiplication problem for Earth's defensive options. Tracking one interstellar object stretched our surveillance capabilities. Monitoring two simultaneously, one that's been here for months and one arriving at extreme speed, divides our already limited resources. Any defensive measures we might consider, interceptors, communication attempts, deterrent demonstrations, now have to account for two targets with different capabilities in different locations. Our response to one could be observed and countered by the other. But there's also an opportunity perspective. If both objects are here peacefully, having two to study and potentially communicate with provides redundancy. If communication with Atlas fails or proves difficult, we have Object 4I as an alternative contact point. With Object 4I's closest approach to Earth approximately 7 days away, every day brings new observations and new concerns about what happens when it arrives. The object continues its incredibly rapid approach, showing no signs of deceleration. If current velocity holds, Object 4 will pass through Earth's orbital distance in less than a week. That close passage at 220,000 miles per hour means the encounter will be brief. Object 4. I will be in Earth's vicinity for only a few hours before its trajectory carries it elsewhere. But recent observations show something new. Object 4 has begun deploying smaller objects. Similar to what Atlas did, Object 4 is releasing tiny probes or sensors that spread out from its main body. These aren't random debris, they're moving under power, taking up positions along Object 4. I's trajectory. A tracking specialist described the deployment. Object 4 is building a sensor network or communication relay along its approach path. It's dropping breadcrumbs of technology as it races toward Earth. Whatever happens during the close approach, these deployed objects will remain after Object 4I passes, maintaining presence even after the main object is gone. The electromagnetic silence from Object 4 has also begun breaking down. As it gets closer to Earth, brief signal bursts are becoming more frequent. The signals aren't directed at Earth, they're aimed toward ATLAS's position. The two objects are apparently communicating, coordinating their activities as both approach. A communications analyst intercepted and analyzed the signals. The transmissions from Object 4I to Atlas use the same basic communication protocols, despite the objects having different characteristics otherwise. That proves they're related. Same technology base, same origin, coordinated mission. They're not just two random objects that happen to arrive together, they're working together. Space agencies worldwide are preparing for Object 4I's passage with the same intensity they've applied to Atlas. Telescopes are being positioned to capture every possible observation during the brief encounter. Communication attempts are being prepared in case Object 4I proves responsive where Atlas has been enigmatic. But there's also apprehension. Object 4I's speed means we'll have very limited time to observe and interact during close approach. Whatever happens, it will happen fast, possibly too fast for careful human decision-making about responses. Object 4. Eye's trajectory analysis reveals something both relieving and concerning about what happens after its close approach to Earth next week. The current path shows Object 4. Eye will pass through Earth's orbital distance and continue on, but not out of the solar system. Instead, its trajectory will take it deeper into the inner solar system, toward Venus and possibly toward the Sun itself. It's not leaving, it's just getting started. An orbital mechanics specialist described the trajectory. Object 4 Eye's path through the inner solar system suggests it's conducting a grand tour, Earth, Venus, possibly Mercury, and close solar approach. It's covering territory fast that Atlas took months to survey slowly. Combined, they're mapping the entire inner solar system from complementary perspectives. But the post-Earth trajectory also brings Object 4 Eye closer to Atlas's position. Current projections show that after both objects complete their individual maneuvers, their paths will bring them to within several million miles of each other, close enough for direct interaction, possible rendezvous, or coordinated operations. A strategic analyst explained the implications. After both objects have gathered their data and completed reconnaissance, they converge. That's either a meeting point to share information and coordinate next steps, or it's a staging point for combined operations. Either way, what happens when they come together might be more significant than their individual approaches. The deployed objects from both Atlas and Object 4 Eye are also spreading throughout the inner solar system. Combined, there are now dozens of small probes, sensors, or relay stations positioned across millions of kilometers of space. They're building infrastructure, a network that could support communications, coordination, or operations on a scale we haven't seen before. But here's the most unsettling possibility. Object 4 Eye might not be the last. If 2 interstellar objects can arrive in coordination, why not 3, or 5, or more? Every additional object arriving would strain our tracking and response capabilities further, creating a situation where Earth faces multiple unknown presences simultaneously. A space surveillance coordinator described the nightmare scenario. Our systems can barely handle tracking 2 objects with these characteristics. If a third arrives, or a fourth, we might miss some entirely or lose track of activities because we're overwhelmed. And if they're coordinated, they'd know our capabilities are stretched thin. It's the perfect time to bring in additional assets while we're struggling to monitor what we already see. We're living through a fundamental shift in humanity's place in the universe. For the first time in history, we're hosting multiple visitors from beyond our solar system simultaneously. And they're not just passing through, they're conducting operations. Atlas showed us that interstellar visitors can be technological marvels with capabilities beyond our comprehension. Object 4 Eye demonstrates that they can arrive with stealth, speed, and apparent coordination. Together, they prove that Earth has become a destination of interest to intelligences beyond our world. The convergence of both objects near Earth next week represents either humanity's greatest opportunity for discovery and potential contact, or a strategic situation we're utterly unprepared to handle. We don't know their intentions, we can't predict their actions, and we have minimal capability to influence outcomes. What we do know is this. Object 4 Eye will reach Earth's vicinity in 7 days. Atlas is already here, maneuvering and deploying assets. Both objects appear to be coordinating, and their combined presence creates a situation unprecedented in human experience. While everyone watched Atlas, Object 4, Eye raced toward Earth in silence. Now both are here, and in 7 days we'll discover whether their convergence is coincidence, coordination, or the opening move in something far larger. What do you think Object 4 Eye really is? Why the stealth approach while ATLAS was visible? And what happens when both objects are operating near Earth simultaneously? Drop your thoughts below and make sure you're subscribed, because in 7 days, this 2-object crisis becomes reality and we'll need to track every development together.